This is the 50th episode of CloudFocus Weekly for the first day of July 2011. This episode is titled Plus 365. CloudFocus Weekly is sponsored by Arkus, cloud computing experts. And I'm your host on this very tiresome Friday afternoon. My name is Jason Atwood, and joining me is the co-host for the 50th time, which we almost decided to do some sort of behind-the-scenes podcasting thing, but then it was too late to do it, so we'll leave it for the one-year anniversary, is my co-host, Justin Elstein. Justin, how are you doing today?
I'm tired.
It's a Friday.
It's a Friday before a long weekend.
Yeah, we should do these on Thursdays more often. Friday's tough, although we can wait for the news, and we only have 2 bits of news, because really 2 big things rocked the cloudy world today, or in the last week. One was that Microsoft released 365, which is their new Office Cloud product. And Google released their competitor to Facebook, or I guess a social networking competitor, called Google+. And rolled out a whole bunch of stuff with it. I mean, they rolled out new looks to Gmail, new looks to Calendar, all of which are kind of interesting. But we're going to talk about those 2 topics because when you got those 2 players basically in the software industry doing cloudy things, it's time for us to bring them into CloudFocus Weekly. So let's start off with 365 because it was the first in the series. It's been kind of long awaited. Microsoft has projected this out, saying that they were going to get into the cloud. They're going to move, their full Office suite to the cloud. And this is a direct shot at Google in a lot of ways because it is a combination Office suite and email suite. So it's Outlook Online as well as Office. So Word documents.
It's more than just that.
Word documents and Excel and PowerPoint and, well, tell me about it then.
It's a full collaboration suite. So it's got email, like you said. It's got the documents, but it also has chat and it has SharePoint. And SharePoint being
sites to SharePoint, chat to Google Talk.
Well, SharePoint's more than just sites. It's kind of the collaboration suite, if you will.
Would you say Google Wave?
You could say Google Wave. That's interesting. Throw that in there.
Yep.
But it allows you to. I've been playing with it. The SharePoint piece actually takes up quite a bit of it. It's mostly SharePoint because SharePoint had the document management.
Right.
SharePoint had the online collaboration piece of the document management where you can sync documents back and forth. In this case, you're opening documents in either an online editor or you can choose to open them in an offline editor, edit them, save them, and it saves back online. That works really well. I've tried it a couple times. Their online editors are really good. The Word is exceptional. It's really well done. Excel's a little slow, but it does some neat things. And the PowerPoint.
What's a neat thing? Give me a neat
well,
thing.
it feels like Excel. So it does like all the filters. It does all the sorting. It does all the pivot table type stuff.
All the stuff that Sheets now does.
Right, but
but looks like Microsoft.
It feels and looks and feels like Excel.
And we've talked about this a lot. When you get to user design, one of the things that you try to do, and I think I even slammed Salesforce for this a little bit, is that when you get to navigation and working with a program for a long time, part of it becomes sort of muscle memory, or where that button is exactly. You just kind of know to go to it, so you know that that's the place you go, and you don't have to read it. You don't have to know what the button does, but you just know to go to it. And what I think has happened with Word is you just know that on the right there, and I'm pointing to a mythical place, that's the place where you go set the font. And so your mouse goes up there and you go to look for it. When you switch to another editor, no matter if they have the feature or not, you're like, oh, wait, it's not there. Where is it? And then that little bit of stoppage is what I think a lot of people find irritable, just because they've learned one system. So, you get with Outlook users who switch to Gmail, it's like, I don't even know where to go start a new email because it's not this big button that says new email or new.
Right. Well, the PowerPoint was also very well done. Little slow. I'll say the whole thing's a little slow. Everything in it is just a little bit slow, but it works, and the PowerPoint works really well. The online editor for the PowerPoint works very well. I was able to, create different slides, create different types of slides, add images, bulleted lists, slide designs, etc. It worked really well. And the team site, it's just like a team site if you're used to PowerPoint, if you're used to SharePoint. It has the things that team sites have. It has the document repository. It has the sort of the message board, like with the posts and things like that. And then on the other side, you have Outlook. So you have this whole Outlook environment online. And I'll say it's a little weird because you're in this environment that's this holistic 365 environment, but it does really bounce you back and forth quite a bit. So, there's 3 main links at the top. There's a home link, there's an Outlook link, and there's a team site. And that's your main top level navigation. And if you click to, team site, you're at, for us, it's arkusinc.sharepoint.com. And, if you click Outlook, it jumps you to outlook.arkusinc.com. But first, it logs you in. It goes to like login.something, then outlook.something, then pod something, then something else. It jumps you from like URL to URL to URL to like 4 or 5 different times. And it's slow to get there. It takes a long time to get from the SharePoint environment to the Outlook environment. Once you're there, you're there. And you still have, your top level navigational elements to get you sort of back and forth between the two. And it really does look and feel just like Outlook, except it's online. It has search. It has your inbox. It has all the different folders. But still, it's really slow. It bouncing you between.
So a browser,
everything.
Do you think it's a browser slow or a network slow? Because there's a difference. Like browser slow means that they've packed it so full of JavaScript and jQuery and whatever that it's downloading so much to actually render it in the browser is slowing down the browser. Network slow is it's got so much data in it that you're literally pulling down a meg of stuff every time you change things. What do you mean?
A little from column A, a little from column B.
Okay.
It does seem to want to jump you from place to place to place when you're going between like SharePoint and Outlook. Now, once you're in an environment, it's a little quicker. I think the SharePoint one's a little slower as far as being like browser slow. Like there's a lot going on. It's trying to do a lot of things in the browser, which are, slow. Like Excel rendering things and PowerPoint. Every time you want to build a new slide, it's just a little slow. So, but all in all, I think this is a good start for them. They have Outlook, they have SharePoint, like we said, they have Link, which is instant messaging, audio and video calling, and online meetings. So they've really packed a lot into this product. And we're on, we did the 30-day trial so that we can see what it's all about. Yep. Do you know which one we're on? Are we on the small business? I mean, that's the thing. It's very confusing. There's like 5 or 6. Yeah, there's like 5 or 6 tiers, and within tiers, there's a couple levels. So
Windows
the
7
pricing is a little
Professional Enterprise 2020.
Yeah, it's not Google Apps for Business where it's like $50 a year and done.
$50
$60 per person per year, done.
50. You're done.
And it's more like, small business plan 1, enterprise 2, enterprise 3, enterprise 4, and like with it comes a bunch of different features, but not exactly sure, which one we're on because we're on the free 30-day trial. Is there a way to find that out? Do we know?
I don't know, but we could look it up. So my experience was I signed this up for the trial because it came out and I wanted to see it. And I agree that when you're in the editors, it's really just the icons. The icons feel familiar. The thing that looks like a find, the thing that looks like a data or delete, or just the icons are so familiar that you say to yourself, "Oh, I'm in Excel." I don't feel the power behind Excel on my desktop and Excel here are the same, and I worry that the reason I use Excel at all on the desktop most of the stuff we do on collaboratively on Google Docs, obviously, but when you're going to open up a 5-6 megabyte file and you need to sort it and resort it and filter it, I'd rather have the processor power of my computer doing that than doing it virtually through a browser, because the browser isn't really meant to handle massive amounts of data, and I don't think these programs are really, they're not optimized for it, as far as I've seen so far. In the future, I'm sure it'll be much better, but right now, it's kind of like Photoshop. If I want a Photoshop to do a Gaussian blur, having that render in my browser isn't going to be as fast. So I like using the online or using the desktop version. So this to me prevents basically it doesn't give me anything more other than a sort of similar look and feel than what Google Docs gives you. I don't feel like the feature set is higher. I think it looks more familiar to Excel users, and that's going to be a big win for them.
Yeah.
It's pricier. It's not they don't give as much storage. There's
also a couple of, there's some really great things like open in Excel.
Right.
You open the doc in Excel, you do it, you hit save, it's seamless, it goes right back up. There's some weird things, though, I'll say.
Yeah.
Like the Excel documents, first off, online, the difference between this product and Google Apps, and I'm used to working on Google Apps with online document creation and collaboration, is you go to a Google app, you open it, boom, you're in edit mode.
Right.
There's no view mode, you're in edit mode.
Right.
Just start editing. Here you open a document and you're looking at it. Then you have to hit a button to start editing it. It's just a little weird, a little herky, a little jerky.
It's very web version to do that, as opposed to any document on your desktop. If you open it, you're
editing it.
Right.
Which is very odd. The second thing I noticed is there's different patterns for saving documents depending on what program you're in, which is bad, because Excel and PowerPoint, there's no save. It auto-saves. It saves for you. Word, on the other hand, you have to save the document. So I started with Excel. I did a document. I went to save it, and it's like, you don't have to save this. It saves it for you. I went to PowerPoint, created PowerPoint, went to save. You don't have to save this. We save it for you. I went to Word. I closed the document. It was gone. You have to save Word documents. It's very odd that there's these three document types, and there's also OneNote, which we haven't mentioned, but there's these document types, and two of them autosave, one doesn't. It's just weird. I'm not sure why you would do that. Maybe it was an oversight. It just came out. I mean, presumably they can change this the way that Google Apps changes their stuff, overnight or, within a browser refresh. Oh, new, works again.
Right.
But I just found it really odd that they had different saving behavior depending on what document you were in or document type.
And obviously, being in the cloud, they're going to get much better collaboration. You can have multiple people viewing the same thing at the same time. Checking things in and out by Excel, that's much better. Although I try to do it, and my version of Excel doesn't support it. So here's where I would immediately say I have an issue. Okay, so the $350 piece of software that I have that I bought here, and the whatever $60 a month subscription thing. Oh, by the way, I don't have enough. I am not paying you enough to be able to edit the document on my desktop. I need to go to the next version of Excel. I'm not on that version, and keep paying you for the online version to do that. So there seems like they're still stuck in that world of, well, you still got to pay a lot of money for this app, the app that you own, and still got to pay money up here to use the full functionality up here. That to me, just as a general user, I'm like, well, I don't want to do both. Like, the thing about Google Docs is, once you pay, you do everything. There's no you got to get this piece of software if you want to do something extra special. And that software is going to cost you $400. So I just think Microsoft's caught in a strange world of having sold stuff for so much money for so long that they have this monopoly on, or slowly maybe dying monopoly, that how do you charge for these cloud services? How do you handle this? It's an interesting take. I'm not sure I'd be ready to suggest it to clients yet. The integrations with other things I think are probably yet to come. And I think both of our experience was it doesn't feel as just sort of just working. It feels a little kludgy. It feels a little put together. It feels like they took products they already had and kind of maybe built a couple new products and then put some old products with it. web Outlook, and then mash them together, and it feels mashed together. It doesn't feel like it's a fluid. It doesn't feel like 365. It feels like 65 plus 200 plus 1 plus 50 plus 50, right? It feels like a bunch of things added together.
Yeah.
So that's Microsoft. Speaking of companies jumping from one side of what they normally do to doing something completely different, Google, having basically slammed the 365 agreement or 365 announcement by releasing their social platform. Long awaited, called many things. Everybody thought it was the +1 thing that we saw and we talked about. What is this? What does this mean? All this +1. How does this work with the buzz and all these other things that they've kind of done? We know that they've gone into checking in with Latitude. Google has done a lot in this area. It feels like there's about 6 different groups, all independent, who never talk, all trying to build some kind of social piece to their application. Well, they've kind of brought some of them together. I
think they've brought a bunch of them together.
They've brought a bunch of them together, and we'll talk about what it is, but it's called Google Plus, which, as a naming convention, I'm not sure that really helps. I don't know. Google Plus I thought Google Me was better. Felt more personal. Google Plus feels like, I don't know, something you'd buy off the shelf.
I don't really care.
It's not Google, it's Google Plus.
I don't really care.
I mean, Google is such an amazing. The word has so much power to it that I understand why you want to use it. Like Gmail, I always felt was kind of a bad naming thing because yes, it becomes its own thing, Gmail, but they lost some of what they had in Google. Most products since have been Google Maps, Google Wave, Google whatever, Google Apps, because Google has a lot of name brand recognition. So Google Plus. In essence, they've done a lot. You now have a profile.
You've always had a profile.
You now have a social profile, and the big add-on to it. Well, they've done a bunch of things. They've integrated chat into it. They've created what is a new theory, although not entirely new, but kind of a new take on it, which is you have these circles, kind of like what you wrote about in your blog post.
Someone must have read that.
So you have circles, and in those circles you put people, and you can put people in multiple circles, and they're your social circles. And then when you're doing the Facebook type of stuff, and it looks very much like Facebook. I mean, it kind of acts like Facebook. There's a feed, there's a stream. You can see the different streams of your different groups. There's a chat in it. There's even they've even built in video chat. Well, we haven't tried yet, but
I started a Hangout earlier, but no one was around.
No one would join your Hangout?
Well, no one was around. I only opened it to one specific circle called Arkus that only has Arkus members, but nobody was on Google Plus, so they didn't see it, I guess.
So I got that, but I didn't. Now that I'm logged in, I don't see that that's available to me. But
it's no longer open. So it's only open when you open it, and then you close it, it's gone.
So there's a chat. There's a video chat with up to 4 people, I think, which is pretty cool.
It's not bad.
There's this thing called the stream. There's, of course, photos and all this sort of stuff.
It's Picasa.
Right. But I'm saying that they've all connected these things up. Yes, it's Picasa, but it's in the social side. So it takes in the people that you've now connected into your circles. They show up. Their photos show up in your photo area. You've played with it this morning. I've been playing with it for a day and a half. I mean, it's not out fully yet. You have to invite people, but it looks like as long as you send them an email or try to invite them into a circle, they get in.
It's kind of weird. They get in. I got in, but I didn't get an email telling me I was in, so I had to just sort of ask you what the URL was.
Google
like,
secret.
Where do I go?
Google secret.
I like it. I think it's nice. I think they did a really good job of thinking through what a social network using all the assets that they've already built could be, right? So they have all these things that are connected to your Google account, and how could they bring them in a way that is easy on the eyes to see and interact with, and also thought through, unlike in the past where they've gotten dinged, they thought through the privacy aspect of things. So they've thought through this whole circles where you can create different groups of people that I want to post this to my stream, but I only want this group of people to see it. That's really well done. Your +1s that are all over the web now will show up here, and you can post them to different aspects. It sort of they show up in certain places I've found that they show up a little bit later, but they do show up in your stream. You can +1 things in a stream. It's much like liking on Facebook. It's pretty much the same premise. I went in and posted some photos from a album that I had on Picasso. It was very seamless. And I mean, you can post photos, you can post videos, you can post links, you can post your location. It's a social network.
The thing that I think so a couple things I think they've got brilliantly. Social circles is great. You can put people in multiple circles. You name them what you want to name them. There's a nice interface for dragging and dropping them. They actually go into their pictures, go into these circles. And again, the idea that I might want to post something that I only want this group of people, like about Dreamforce, right? But I have a bunch of partners and I have a bunch of clients maybe, and I can segment them so when I post, I say, oh, it's a Dreamforce thing. It kind of can connect up what I would consider two different worlds, as you talked about in your blog post. The social circles. You use social circles to separate out applications. Like, I only let certain people into my Facebook because that's all. You're either all in or not. LinkedIn, anybody can see. But I think the thing they've really gotten right is the sort of, and I think it's going to be hard for them because it's a little confusing, is when you're looking at your profile and editing your profile, you can make almost any element of your profile available to any social circle. So it's kind of like a many-to-many relationship. It's like, okay, so I can make this email or this email section available to these social circles, or my history available to these social circles. So part of it, you're then going to have to remember what you did or did not do. And I think that's where, with great complexity, and probably the reason that Facebook has kept away from this is because it is complex. And will the moms and pops of the world who are just figuring out Facebook and posting and what not to say on Facebook, are they going to come to here and be like, oh, wait, when I post something, I got to pick a circle? What's a circle? Who's in it? Could get
by
confusing.
Default, it just goes to everyone. So if you don't care, you don't care. I'm still not 100% sure, like, how it all works. Do I have to add you to one of my circles in order for you to see things on my profile, or is it all by default? Like, I'm not 100% sure. I still don't necessarily get it.
It's not 100% clear.
It's not as easy as Facebook in this respect. You're either friends or you're not.
I will say that I think when Facebook, we have 3 years worth of, or 4 years worth of using it to know all the different intricacies of it. Friending, I friended them. I'm sure 4 years ago, whenever you started on Facebook, you're like, wait, if I ask for their friendship, are we friends? Do they have to require my friendship? Like, there were questions we had. So this is kind of not a new paradigm, but I think the same questions are going to come up. Some interesting things. One is, once you're in it, if you're logged in, it then takes over this new top black bar.
Yep.
So where I think they're going to, we've always talked about Google. In fact, two products they killed off this week as well. They killed off the Google Medical, or whatever it's called, Google Health, and the Power Grid one, where they'll monitor power grids, tell you how you're using your energy in your house. And we've seen them do this to other products.
Like Google Wave.
Right, Google Wave, because of adoption. Interesting, once you're in this, you can't forget it. That's for sure. Because anytime you search Google, it's up there in your top bar, and you see your name, your thing, and there's a little icon that shows you if anything new's happened, and you have a little
a share thing that you can easily post a status from.
Plus anything on the system, Gmail, calendars, all there. So once you're in, you're kind of, they're taking it the other way around. It's like, you love Google, now you've got social around all of your Google elements that you wanted, right? So now this is a social thing. That I think is really smart, and I think that's why it'll probably do pretty well to start, until people start to do that. Like, well, why am I in this versus this? Do I need to upkeep both of them? Most people I know don't want to have multiple social networks going at the same time.
When does Google decide that this is something that an enterprise might want to use?
I don't know, and that there's so many millions of features missing from this. I went to see if there was, we have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Arkus Inc., right? There's pages, you can post this pages, all sorts of stuff that Facebook has done that clearly is not here yet. The other thing I would say that I'm a little bit, I don't quite get.
Just totally brushed over my question.
So when do they go to the enterprise?
Well, yeah, I mean, this could be a very interesting, forget pages, because that's a Facebook thing. This could be a very interesting this could be a very interesting thing to use inside of a company.
Like a chatter. So
That's
like a
right.
chatter competitor.
I mean, you've already got your email and your calendar and your documents. Turn those social with the stream on it, and instead of photos, you have documents. You have the IM, you have circles, executives, assistants, whatever, right? A group, private group. You have calendar events that could show up in streams and collaborate on it. It could be very interesting in the enterprise.
I think it could. I think that'll be a long thought and a long way. Right now it's blocked, so if you try it as a Google app
I know. I have to use a different browser because I'm always logged in to our Google, our enterprise account on my main browsers. So,
and the other thing I'll say, just and then maybe we'll round it up, is that I don't think it's clear with the other different products. We've been using Google Reader, which is their RSS reader. I've used that for years. They originally had liking, right? Well, originally there was nothing. If you wanted to send an article to someone, you'd email it to them.
It had the email button.
Then there became a like. Then you could first it was share.
It had share,
and then share with comments.
Right.
Then
share with comments was the greatest.
Right. Then you could share with comments, and then the comments kind of went into a
thread.
They went into a thread, and then they did like.
No, then they did send to.
Well, okay.
So you could send it.
So
you could send it to places. Send it was after share, I think.
After share, then like. So now we have like, share with comments, and send to. Let's leave send to off because that's more of moving it to another application. Then they introduced buzz. So we have buzz. Then they introduced +1. So I now have, let's count them off, share, like, share with comments, buzz, and +1. I now have this new thing called, I don't know what it is. What is this thing? When I go to my Google profile and I type in here the stream, okay, when I type in the stream, what am I doing? Is that any one of those 6 things I just listed off?
No.
It's another
But those
thing.
other 6 things will show up in your stream.
It's not consistent. I've tried it. It
is consistent.
And it's not consistent.
That's the things that they say are included are consistent.
If you put something in if you like something, it doesn't show up at all.
No.
In Google Reader.
No.
If you share something in Google Reader, it doesn't show up.
But on my profile, there is a link to my shared items in Google Reader.
Yes, but it doesn't show up. But it doesn't show up.
It does not show in the stream. But the +1s and the buzz do.
But okay, there's a problem.
Well,
I can tell you right now, Google.
It's not like it's inconsistent. It is what it is.
It's not understandable to the users.
I just understood it.
No, because it's not. So I have a stream, a +1, a buzz, and I have share and like. I have all these things. I don't know how they cross, what's sharing with whether. In fact, the other day I did something in the stream, and it ended up sending an email off to someone I invited to Google Plus, but they couldn't even get into Google Plus, and they're like, "What is this? Why am I getting this email?" So I can tell you right now, as a power user, I'm a web power user. It's already it's trying to connect all these things, but I don't think they're connected.
All they need to do is pull in the Google Reader shared items, and they have it all connected. That's the only thing that they're missing, and it's there.
But do you think that normal users, who are the people who have been posting statuses incorrectly and like sharing to the world that they're, that they whatever, all these funny stats.
I don't know what you mean by normal user.
Well, the confusion over Facebook and who can see what is a very big confusion that's been going on for years and still going on. So now I've entered in a whole new 3 sets or 4 sets of things, which I'm not even clear whether. Okay, so I have this question: if I search for something in Google and I see a +1, I hit +1, does it show up my stream?
If you're logged in, sure.
It shows up my stream.
Yes.
Okay, so if I +1 it from a Google search, it shows up my stream.
Or if you're on a page that has the +1 button and you click it, it'll show up.
That would then show up in my stream.
Yes.
Okay.
The only things that aren't showing up right now is the Google Reader stuff. I'm not
100%. Buzz
totally shows up. It's right there. It's Buzz.
No, it shows up on your profile, not in your stream. It's a difference. You +1 that article in New York Barbecue. You didn't buzz it.
Buzz, I don't even use, so I couldn't even tell you.
Well, you just told. Wait, hold on. Backtrack up. You just told me that it did show up, and you understood it fully. This is the point. The point has been made.
I have to buzz something to know if it shows up or not.
I was buzzing stuff yesterday. I was buzzing it, plussing it, liking it, and all of that. And we were testing it back and forth to see which showed up.
Buzz is connected to my Twitter.
All right. Point.
Let me tweet something.
Forget it. Point, counterpoint, done. The point is
just tweeting the word buzz.
The point is it is a little too confusing right now with all their different concepts about liking or starring or whatevering. And I think that as an end user, are they going to get it, or are they going to get frustrated that there's so many different ways to do this, as opposed to Facebook, which has said you have the like button and that's it. And the Twitter is you tweet, you Twitter it. But there's like 5. And are they too confusing? And why did they release Buzz 3 months ago and plus 1 2 months ago?
It wasn't 3 months ago. Buzz was not 3 months ago.
4 months.
It was over a
6
year
months
ago.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
We covered it
because I can tell you exactly where I worked, and I wasn't working at Arkus. So over a year ago.
Not Google Buzz.
Yes, Google Buzz.
Oh yeah, maybe it was.
Oh yeah.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna pull up the article right now. February 9th, 2010. You're right. Over a year ago.
That's over a year ago. So they clearly, and they made a mistake on that one. They didn't get it. They made a mistake, and they learned from it, and they put this out.
But then why'd they release Plus One 3 weeks ago?
Plus Ones was clearly a predecessor to this product.
It
was a way to get stuff into this product.
I guess. I guess people put Plus One buttons all over their websites.
Yeah. And then get the content into the stream.
Don't cross your streams, though. Whatever you do,
I'm not going to cross my stream. So here's the deal. Buzzes don't come into the stream. Buzzes go into the buzz. I just checked.
Oh, that's
because I buzzed stuff from Twitter.
Right.
I posted the word buzz.
That doesn't happen the way I would think it would happen.
No. The Plus Ones go into the stream. The buzz doesn't. That doesn't make sense.
And the likes? What about the likes in Reader? Or share with comments?
No, the shares go into... They go into the... If you're on the About page on your thing, in your links, there's the My Shared Items in Google Reader.
I want you to go explain this to your mother and your father.
But my mother won't care. She doesn't use Google. See,
she does.
She doesn't use Google Reader.
No,
she
not
does
Google
not.
Reader.
That's right. So she doesn't care where. But she doesn't care where her Google Reader shared items go, because you know what? She doesn't have any.
She doesn't use.
She doesn't use Buzz. She doesn't care. She doesn't care where those go either.
She's gonna say, "I just love this new Plus One stream integration."
Here's the thing. She won't even know that exists either.
You're gonna get the question.
People do post. No, my mom's never even going to use this. Guaranteed.
I don't know.
She doesn't even have a Gmail account, so she's not even going to use this.
Well, that you can pretty much cross. Well, the other 40, whatever, 200
Here's the thing:
people.
you say like normal user. I think the normal user,
it's not the ones in this room.
No, but the normal user doesn't necessarily have the Buzz and the Google Reader shared items and the likes on the Google Reader. You know what? They have their Gmail. They have their Gmail contacts. They have their chat in their Gmail, and this will be a little addition to that.
This will be a social profile on top of Gmail.
That's right. That's what this will be.
Does it connect up with your chat? Does the chat in this connect with your chat in Gmail?
I've not even chatted from this. I have no idea. It says I can do it. I haven't done it. I've tried to start a Hangout, but nobody was hanging out with me. I have no idea.
This is where I think that they're going to have an issue.
I don't even know how to start a chat.
I have it right here. You can start a chat with a circle. I'm going to pick a circle.
I don't want to start it. I want to do it with a person, like you.
Right. Well, I'm enabling. Well, here's what's nice about this is that you can enable a chat. You can enable chat for a circle. So let's say I want to have chat enabled, so whenever I'm in this, people see that I'm online. But in Facebook, it's like everybody can see you're online, and I don't want everybody because there might be some.
That's it. It's very simple. Yes, it's totally integrated. Yeah. Actually, I just had to look for it. If you're on the home thing, it has start chatting.
Yes.
And then, boom, all your Gmail contacts show up to start chatting with.
Right.
So that's actually very simple.
Well, they're using the same product. That's good.
I don't know what Sparks are. Sparks are there. Don't know what that is.
In your stream.
I don't know what this means.
You buzzed your Spark in your stream.
Find stuff you're interested in.
All right. Let's hold
on. I want to see what I'm interested in. Soccer.
I understand. There are news.
Whoa.
News
okay.
feeds.
So it's like news feeds. Got it.
All right, let's back away from this. Overall thoughts on it. Is this a Facebook killer?
Not a killer.
Is it a competition?
Yeah.
People will move from Facebook to this?
No.
Really?
No one's going to just say up and leave Facebook and go to this. No.
I think there's plenty of people out there that actually want to leave Facebook but don't have an alternative. And I think
the people that want to leave Facebook just don't like the idea of social networking.
Or they've been in there for a while and they've been burned by it, or, not everybody's thought it's the greatest thing on sliced bread. I mean, we have, or I like it, but
I plus one this. You like that? I plus one this.
I plus one it. I buzzed it.
It's up to 7.
I buzzed it. Can you put that in your Spark?
No.
Or in your stream?
No.
Buzz it and plus one it.
No.
All right.
How do we get Arkus as a Sparks?
We have to get our own Spark.
We need a Spark plug.
Reminding me of Transformers. Wasn't that called the All Spark?
I have no idea. I've never seen that movie.
Let's move on to the CloudFocus App Pick of the Week. So, overall, brand new.
Brand new.
Try it if you can try it.
Totally.
I think it has much better privacy controls and much better sharing controls. I think it is a little bit complicated and suffers from that. And whereas Facebook started off very, 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 very simple and has built features over time, this is like all these features are here and there's some more complexities to it, which I think people are going to have a hard time with.
Well, that's kind of, I mean, let's bring it full circle, and bring it back to bring it back to what Microsoft 365 did versus what Google Apps do. Google Apps got to start fresh.
Right.
They said, okay, we got a web browser and we want people to be able to edit documents, and they started from there and they've built it out. It included Gmail and included Calendar because that made sense in the chat, and Docs, and then spreadsheets, and then presentations. Microsoft had to say, well, we have 20 odd years of stuff that we've built, and we sort of need to make all that work because people are used to it, and this is a Microsoft product. They couldn't start fresh. So it's much easier to start from scratch than sort of have all these pieces and cobble them all together. And I think that's sort of a good parallel, right? Google had to cobble all these pieces together that they've put together over the course of the last 5 or so years. Gmail, Chat, Buzz, Plus One, Reader, all this stuff that's potentially social, and the Picasa, and then try to make it social. Microsoft had to do the same thing with 365 online. They had to bring all these pieces together and make them sort of talk to each other in a new environment that maybe wasn't really meant to be the way that, this is a new environment. It's not meant to be the way that it always worked.
The other thing that I'll say, the other -1 for Google, which is becoming sort of their...
Does that make it a 0?
Makes it a 0. I'm going to +2 it, -3 it. Is that Google has shown in the last, I would say, year, 2 years, that if they can announce something as big as the world, but if they don't feel like they get their adoption numbers, whatever that number is, they don't share it with us. They don't say, hey, it's 2 people versus 20 people.
Google Wave.
Yeah, well, we've mentioned it a few times. That they'll kill it. And they will kill it without any recourse or there will be no ceremony. There will be no funeral. It's like, oh, by the way, that thing you've been using and maybe really integrated into your life. I was a Google Health user, but I didn't really integrate that. Maybe someone was using that power metering stuff to really see where their power was going and using it to report up to the government. Who knows? But then they kill it because it didn't get adoption or because something else. So I would say that Facebook isn't going to kill Facebook because Facebook's model is to do what it does. Google has a model, but all these other things around the Google world, I would say outside of AdSense, search, Gmail, and Docs, are all kind of like, they're almost could be on the chopping block at any time. So
there's no ads in this service, by the way.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. There will be. There's. I mean, they have the model; they can make $1 trillion.
There's a lot of data flowing through here for them to correlate too, between all the +1s and stuff that people are sharing and then commenting on their stream. A lot of data flowing through here.
One more thing I'll say. So the minus, I'm going to give it a minus, and I'm going to give them +1. So the minus is you never know with Google; they might decide to destroy it. Right? They don't really hang on to stuff.
That's the minus.
It's good of them. The plus to them is I think Google has learned more lessons about security and about enterprise security and keeping people's stuff private than Facebook ever did. Facebook is coming back the reverse. Like they've had to go learn about that stuff. Google's learned about it in the last 3 or 4 years. Even the two-factor authentication now. So you can be a Google user, turn on two-factor, and know that your Google Plus profile is a little bit more secure than your Facebook profile because it's got another level of security on top of it. So I think that helps them, and I might even put more information into Google because I know that they have a level, that I've turned on another level of security on top of my social profile. Anyway, end of story. Let's move on to our CloudFocus app picks of the week.
Let's do it.
I'm going to pick 365. You pick Plus.
Okay, done.
All right, what's your CloudFocus app pick of the week? And let's see.
Oh, we're not done?
No, we're done. CloudFocus. No, you got to give me.
I
mean, I know you didn't have anything before the show.
I really didn't. So I scrambled, and I remember Tom Tobin mentioning something in the Dreamforce portal earlier this week about new sample dashboards being put out on the App Exchange for Salesforce.com. I'm a big fan of these sample dashboards. You go to the App Exchange, you click a button, and boom, you have a bunch of dashboards and reports that you can just start modifying. They're nice, easy, free.
They're really good starters.
Great starter packs. They're great for when you're starting off a project and you're at the point at which you're building out analytics and dashboards, and the client really just wants to see a couple to see what they could potentially be and look like.
Right.
Or for those who work, at a Salesforce shop, an executive just wants to see an example. You can very easily just download these into your instance. They're released under the Force.com Labs name, but not sure it's really a Labs project. They're called Salesforce.com CRM dashboards on the App Exchange, free. Download them. You get, I think you get 7 dashboards. You get 4 sales and marketing dashboards, a marketing, sales executive, sales manager, salesperson. And then you get 3 customer service dashboards, an agent supervisor overview, a service executive overview, and a service KPI dashboard, all redone.
Redone how? What makes
redone with new reporting styles and the new charting styles, because they hadn't really updated those types of things in a while.
That's good. So I'm gonna do a little a cross pick here, because we didn't mention my blog post this week.
No, we didn't.
Which happened to be called "Tame the Email Monster with These 3 Easy Tips." I posted it to the blog. It's at blog.arkusinc.com, or will be there momentarily. But just to talk about it for a second, well, go read it. But basically, it's about how to sort of deal with email, some things that I do with email. I wrote one, I think, 6 months ago about using sort of the mail.things, smart folders and things like that.
That was a great one.
This one is really more talking about how to re-look at how you deal with email and turning email from something that tells you what to do to you telling it what to do. Because I think a lot of people...
I quite enjoyed this one as well when I read it on the Google Wave. That is 5 mentions for Wave.
That's like way too many. So
it's like a drinking game.
This is a plug for another tool that I use. That if you're hungry for the tools that I use, which you might or might not be, another tool that I use, and I haven't mentioned, or maybe mentioned, but I haven't made my pick of the week, is a tool. I'm sure there's one that's very similar for the Windows people. It's called Text Expander. And what it does is something that a lot of actually mobile devices have built in now, which is you create a couple different...
How is this a plug for an email tool?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because I use it all the time in email.
Tell me.
It's an app. It runs on your application, runs service-wide, and you give it a couple parameter. You give it a couple, 3 or 4 letters, and when you string those letters together, it then builds... It expands it out. So I always end my emails with thanks JMA, thanks, comma, whatever. So I've turned that into TJMA, and when I type that, it then expands it out and puts it in my email. You can do it for signatures. So if you want to include a signature or not, you can just put a little 3-letter thing. I use it for phone numbers. So like the phone number here in the office, I have as a 3-letter, I think the Arkus office number, AON, and then it pops it in and puts it as the number. So it's great for when you're answering emails and common stuff that you answer all the time or say all the time, maybe to clients or to your boss or whatever. You can just quickly put them in, and then every time, they just become part of your writing an email.
So anywhere in the system.
It's
not even just email, it's anywhere. If you're in a Word document or a Google Sheet or something, or on the Google Wave, where I've seen you do this, we take notes in the Wave and you type in GW Meet, and all of a sudden it builds out an agenda.
Yeah, and it puts in the time, the date. It can do a lot of different stuff. I use it for the podcast. The podcast template is in Text Expander, and I type in CF whatever, CloudFocus podcast, and it builds the entire HTML for me. So I don't have to go copy it from somewhere else. It's really, really useful. As you start to think about it, you get more and more into, I could use it here and I could use it here. I use it we do a lot of WebEx meetings or GoTo meetings. So WBX, when I type it in a meeting event in Salesforce.com, builds out the URL, puts in the password that we always use, tells the people that when you go there that the conference number is available once you log in. I use it for the GTM, which is GoToMeeting, which builds out the URL for that. So again, tons of uses. Text Expander, I think it's by a company called it'll definitely be on the pod. It'll definitely be online, but I think it's Smile Software. They actually make a couple pieces of software. They make another one that does PDF stuff. I haven't tried it.
I know there's a couple others of this type of software in the Mac App Store.
Yes, and this is available in the Mac App Store too.
Yep.
The trial is pretty much a long-term trial, so you can use this for as long as you want. It'll just basically say demo for a while. Give it a try. I know you tried it.
I tried it, had a bad experience with it.
Because it just didn't work.
It didn't work. It kept crashing the apps that I was using it in, so I had a bad experience. Now, it didn't do that at first. So at first, I had just started getting in the flow of actually using it, because it does take a while. Because, you don't think about, instead of typing out this sentence, I can just type three letters or 4 letters, or this thing that I'm always typing out, I can put it in Text Expand. It takes a while to get into that mentality. I finally got a little bit used to it and into the mentality, and then it started crashing things. So I uninstalled it.
Right.
But
so
I didn't pay for it, so
I actually,
maybe if I paid for it, it would have worked.
It is $34.95 available. I'm sure there's ones that work on Windows, and I know they're building into the new iOS. They're going to do the same thing, so you can actually put snippets across your entire iPhone or iPad, so it'll pre-populate things. So then you can really get used to using it all across the world or all across your different devices. Anyway, Text Expander, and so you want to read about that or the blog post is blog.arkusinc.com, twitter.com/ArkusInc, twitter.com/JasonMatwood, twitter.com/JustEdelstein, and facebook.com/ArkusInc, and plus.google.nope, doesn't exist yet. But when it does, we'll put a plus.google.com profile. And for the podcast, always remember to subscribe in iTunes. Leave reviews there. You'll get the podcast whenever we do it. Like, this is a late Friday afternoon one, but busy week. So, but until next week, and it's not very cloudy day at all. Beautiful day here in New York, in downtown New York City, midtown New York City, Times Square, New York City. Enjoy those cloudy days.